Lesson 56, Voting in North Carolina. Types of elections. Federal, state, and county elections are held in even-numbered years. Even-numbered years, federal, state, and county. Municipal elections, that would be town and city, like the Cary Town Council or the Raleigh City Council. These are held in odd-numbered years. Odd-numbered years for municipal elections. School board elections vary, some even, some odd. Partisan elections. This is when candidates run under a political party label. You run as a Democrat, for example, or as a Republican. There's a D or an R attached to your name in parentheses. That's a partisan election. Nonpartisan election. Party label is not listed with the candidate. Not listed. This is often used in municipal elections. You run for the Cary Town Council. You're not running as a Republican or a Democrat. Also, the election of judges in North Carolina are nonpartisan elections. Nonpartisan. Qualifications for voting in North Carolina. You must be at least 18 years of age, a resident of North Carolina for 30 days, minimum of 30 days, and a U.S. citizen. You must register 25 days prior to the election. 25 days. You must register. Voter registration prevents voter fraud. It prevents a person from voting at more than one polling place. You can register in person at the Board of Elections. You can register at the DMV, that's the Division of Motor Vehicles. You can pick up a registration form at a public library or high school, or go online and print out the voter registration form, complete it, and mail it in. The voter registration form is very simple. It takes about 5 minutes to complete. It's going to ask you your name, your address, your age, your party preference, which is affiliation. Let's see. The voter ID law, I'm not really sure if you have to show an ID in North Carolina. The previous screen said that the Supreme Court struck it down, but I'm not sure about that. I'd have to go back and do more research on that. So I'm not sure if you do not have to show a picture ID when you go to the polling place to go vote. What happens on Election Day? You go to your assigned polling place. The polling place is the place where you vote. Your polling place may be a school, it may be a fire station, it could be a library, it could be a church. Okay, it's a place where everyone in your precinct votes. Election officials check for your name on a list of registered voters in a district, in the precinct. After finding your name, you complete what's called an authorization to vote form at the clerk's table. After completing that, you get in line and exchange your authorization to vote form for a ballot. A ballot, the paper you use to cast your vote. It lists all the candidates' names according to their party and the office they are seeking. The ballot allows you to vote what's called a straight ticket in all partisan elections. Partisan elections. Again, a party label is attached to each candidate. By checking a certain box on the ballot, you do not need to go through each individual office. You automatically will vote for that party that you choose. If you choose to vote a straight ticket, you do not have to vote a straight ticket. You vote for all the candidates of that one particular party on a straight ticket. You can skip that and go around on the ballot and vote for any candidate that you choose. Now you can see this right down here. I'm going to try to scroll right down here on this sample ballot. It says right here, straight party voting. if you choose that this person here, for example, bubbled in Republican, that means for all partisan offices, see that, all partisan offices, the Republican is picked automatically for every partisan office. So you do not need to go through each of these individual offices and bubble in the candidate. Again, that's for partisan offices only. And usually you don't have to do this. You don't have to choose a straight ticket. You can come up here and vote for a Republican in one office, a Democrat in another, a Republican, Democrat, skip around. You can skip offices if you like. You don't have to vote for every single one on the ballot. On presidential years, for example, you can come in, and if you just want to vote for president and vice president as a ticket, that's all you have to do, and then turn it in. You are free to choose vote for as many of these positions as you like. Voting for candidates from different political parties is called splitting your ticket. And most voters, I think, vote a split ticket. They vote Republicans, and for some offices, Democrats and others, they split their ticket. You cast your ballot using a voting machine. The type of machine varies from state to state, and also within each county within a state. This is the first type of voting machine that I voted on in 1980, my first election. I voted in the presidential election of Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter. Those were the two candidates at the top of the ticket on the ballot. And you walk into this booth, you pull this lever to the right, the curtain closes, then you manually, with your fingers, your hands, you choose which candidates you want, and then when you pull the lever back to the left, it automatically casts the votes here, and the curtain opens, the next person goes in, and that person does the same. Of course, things have changed. Now, Wake County uses an optical scanning machine very similar to the ones that we use to grade tests, where you simply slide your ballot into this scanning device. Really simple to use. Very simple. And also Wake County, you don't circle your candidate, you actually complete the arrow here. You just take your pen, it's like just a black pen, and you just complete the arrow who you want to vote for. Pretty simple. Why do ballots and machines vary so much? Because remember, elections are a reserved power of the states. They are not a federal responsibility. So what ends up happening is that poor counties have these old, antiquated machines, whereas the more wealthy counties have the latest technology in voting. When polls are done, the election workers count the votes and take the ballots and the results to the county election board. They're called the returns. The returns are the results. The state board of election certifies the returns, and then the state attorney general certifies the state board of elections. Exit polls. From time to time, the media may ask voters as they're leaving the polls how they voted, and the exit polls are used to predict winners early before all the votes are counted through exit polling. Sometimes races are called early by the media. In all the years that I have participated in voting, I have never been polled as I've left the voting booth. The media is not allowed to predict the winner until the polls are closed, regardless of what the election polls say. Absentee ballot allows people to vote when they will be away from home on election day, or maybe hospitalized, on vacation, service abroad. If you're not going to be at the polling place on election day, you can mail in an absentee ballot. Early voting. This is done in presidential election years. People have an opportunity to vote prior to election day because it's very sometimes time-consuming and very crowded and busy on election day. So people have an opportunity to go to the polls to vote early. Early voting. But why should you vote? The electorate are all the people who are eligible to vote. Anyone who's eligible to vote is a part of the electorate. Now keep in mind, even though you are eligible to vote, you cannot vote until you register. Since I am eligible to vote, I am in the electorate. You are not in the electorate until you become 18. However, you are still a constituent of your elected official. In other words, they still represent you even though you're not a voter. You're a constituent, one represented by an elected official. Once you turn 18, you're in the electorate. And then you have to register to be able to vote in the electorate. Those who vote usually are more positive, have positive attitudes towards government, citizenship. They take their responsibility of voting very seriously. More educated, middle age, higher income tend to vote more, particularly the elderly. They vote at a very high rate. But these groups of people, these citizens, tend to vote much more frequently. Level of education, age, income are all directly proportional to one's voting habits. Usually, high school dropouts, low education voters, young voters, poor voters, they do not go to the polls at the same rate or percentages as those who are older, have more income, and more education. Voting gives you a chance to choose your leaders in a democracy. If you're dissatisfied with the performance of your elected officials, you get to vote in new ones. That's a representative democracy. We live in a republic. Also, voting allows you to express your opinions on issues. President Roosevelt once said, Franklin said that let us never forget that government is ourselves. The ultimate rulers of our democracy are the voters of this country. Why people don't vote? Well, maybe they haven't met the registration requirements. They haven't re-registered after moving. They may believe that neither candidate represents their interests. They believe they have no real choice. What difference does it make anyway? They're all the same. Or they believe their vote will not make a difference. We call that apathy, a lack of interest, a non-caring attitude. Why people don't vote. They're apathetic. What's the difference between ignorance and apathy? I don't know, and I don't care. However, your one vote can make a difference. Never feel that your vote cannot matter. George W. Bush and Al Gore, this presidential election came down in 2000 to the state of Florida. Look at the Electoral College results in 2000. Bush 271, Gore 266. Remember, 260 is needed to win. 270 is needed to win. And it came down to the state of Florida. Of the 5.9 million, almost 6 million votes cast in the state of Florida, the difference between Bush and Gore was less than 1,000 votes. 537, that was it. Don't think that your vote does not count. So by winning Florida, Bush received all 25 electoral votes. It's winner take all, and he became president of the United States. Had Gore won Florida, and he would have won those 25 electoral votes, and he would have been the president. Another example to show you that your vote counts, Al Franken and Norm Coleman in Minnesota, a senatorial race. Of the near 3 million votes cast in 2008, the difference was 312 votes. That was it. That's it. So don't think that your vote doesn't count. It does. It matters. It counts. Voting trends in North Carolina. We used to be a Democratic Party state in the 1960s. Recently, we've shifted more Republican, particularly in national elections. But more and more voters in our state are choosing unaffiliated. No party is a clear majority. We are considered to be a two-party state. We have a Democrat governor right now in Roy Cooper, but our senators are both Republicans, and we have a pretty big Republican House delegation as well. Obama-McCain was very close. Obama won very closely. In 2012, Romney won. And that's voting in North Carolina. That concludes lesson 56.